Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, recently there have been a bunch of memes about stonks, Wall Street bets, GameStop, hedge funds, brokers, whatever stuff. Many people have been curious about this. Some people got wealthy, other people are very confused and out of a lot of money. Triforcetrader is a career trader. There's like official stuff you have to do to be labeled an expert officially, but it's his full-time gig. So he's just going to give us his take on this current situation of what these memes are all about, how things are actually going to go, why this GameStop thing worked. Basically, he should know more about this than any of us would. So I'm going to give him a telephone call here real quick. We'll just figure it out. What's up, dude?
What's up?
Not much, just a superb owl day.
That's good.
I'm guessing you're not too much into owls if you're wanting to talk about this right now.
Yeah. I'm I mean, I'm not surely sure where the whole conversation left off on that because I wasn't paying attention because I was on a call before.
Well, we
But
didn't get that deep into it. It was kind of like I asked Sal if he wanted to bring you on, and he was like, I think I read up pretty well on it, but then he didn't really share anything about it, so we didn't really make much progress. So I would say just to lay out the groundwork of what I've seen and what I know, and with the theme of trading for noobs, I'm a total noob here, and we're just trying to figure out more or less what's going on. But a lot of people are really hyped about the Wall Street Bets subreddit grabbing a shit ton of GameStop stock, which apparently did something that pissed off some people. What exactly is it that happened that's been all over the news and rustling people's gym jams?
yeah, so the idea here is that or what's being portrayed in the media is a bunch of people on a Reddit forum called Wall Street Bets bought a lot of GameStop, which had a short interest that was like over 100%. So meaning that the average investor or average person holding GameStop stock was short, meaning they were betting it was going to go down. And believe their average price, don't quote me on this, um, was $17. Okay. And the thesis that Wall Street Bets kind of posted is like, hey, if we buy the stock and push it up, these hedge funds and people that are short are going to have to get out of the trade. And when you get out of a short position, what's going to happen is that you have to buy to cover, which means you have to buy the shares back, which also adds to the push higher of the stock. And overall, it was a decent thesis. It wasn't rocket science. So they started buying it and shorts got squeezed a little bit. The funds got squeezed. And so they started covering their position. And then I think, hold on, let me look this up real quick so I can speak with some kind of exact numbers. Just give me a second to pull it up.
No problem.
Okay, yeah. So I think the stock on January 12th was trading at $20. And the next day, on the 13th, it was hit a high of $38, closed at 31. The next day, it opened at 38, had a high of 43. And it kind of just did this like upstepping thing. Okay. And there was a hedge fund also involved in this named Melvin, I believe, Melvin Capital. And they had a huge net short position, and rightfully so. Listen, shorting GameStop is a good bet, but they were betting on it going to zero, basically. It's a brick and mortar store. It's the same thing that happened with Blockbuster. And the thesis for Wall Street Bets as a whole was a good thesis. Like I said, it squeezed the shorts. They had to cover some of their position, and it ended up going to like almost $50. Well, here's what added gasoline to all of this. So Melvin Capital, I believe that's their name. You can look it up. If I'm saying it incorrectly, please let me know. But Melvin Capital was also a openly public about shorting Tesla stock. Okay. And Elon Musk, you can love him, you can hate him. I think he's smart, but also dumb, just like all of us smart people. He doesn't understand that shorting a stock is part of the game of trading. And he believes it's like basically evil. And because Melvin Capital was so open about their short position in Tesla way back when, he kind of had like, he was kind of pissed off about that. Okay. So he tweets out something about GameStop, and that just sends that thing to the moon. Coincidentally, that's what Elon Musk is involved in. And you saw when he tweeted that out, I think it was like the 19th or the 20th. I can't remember. Maybe it was, maybe it was like the 20th or the 21st. The next day, that stock opened up at GameStop opened up at 42. It closed at 64. Then the next day, it hit a high of $159. Okay, so now if Melvin Capital and every the short seller was probably still holding short or adding short to their position around 50, right? Meaning they're praying that all of this movement up was over. And then Elon Musk tweeted that out, and then it sent the stock over 100. So now they're buying to covering their shares. And that's why you had basically hundreds of millions of dollars getting out. And that's why you saw it go from 100 to about 450. And on this day, I believe it was the 27th, I tweeted something out that said, look, all of these hedge funds are basically out of their position. And at this point, right, like they're out of their position. They've been squeezed for hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. And, you know, it's not really Wall Street Bets that made this all happen. They were a cause. You know, they pushed a button, but what happened with Elon Musk and all of that is really what ignited the fire, and them getting out of their position caused this rapid rise. And once that was over, I pretty much thought that was the nail in the coffin. And I also talked about how people from Wall Street Bets would start to be prosecuted. This is 4 or 5 days before the SEC comes out with an article. And the reason they would be prosecuted or looked into by the SEC is because in the 1990s, people were prosecuted for posting on forums to drive up stocks. Okay, Reddit is a forum. It's 1990s technology living in 2021. And the people that used to pump these stocks or talk about them or all conspire to buy these stocks, to squeeze shorts, all of these things is not new. And there were consequences for those actions. And people on Twitter, for me, were like, you're a fucking dumbass. You have no idea what you're talking about. This is totally new, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, let's not look at history at all. And let's just be mad at me for speaking some truth bombs. And, you know, and I thought too that after the funds were out, it would be a great shorting opportunity because the hedge funds would just literally enter their short position at 400 because GameStop is still going back to where it was going to go, which is a $4 to $5 stock, if not zero. Okay. So that's kind of the grand 50,000 foot view of what happened and why it got so out of hand. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. One of them is, this sort of seems like a counterplay to me of Wall Street Bets seeing these hedge funds basically pointing at something that is an inevitability. People buy games on Steam. They buy games online on their computer. They don't really go into stores that much anymore. So I think, like you're saying, the call to short GameStop makes sense because it's an era that's in its sunset. It's kind of in its twilight hours of going into
Right.
a shop and purchasing something, especially with COVID. So that play all makes sense. And then you've got Reddit people who are also gamer people. And there's a whole bunch of stick it to the man energy with this, where most people who are taking this information from Wall Street Bets, they're not career traders like you are, who like that's their gig. They're just people who are memeing about on Reddit, and they all decide to make this play together.
Right.
So I guess my question is this the kind of thing that can happen more in the future where there's some like hedge fund or something where they are making a call that is technically correct, like GameStop is going to go down over time, and then communities of people seeing this happening and then just reversing this in some way, like buying a whole bunch of that to drive the price up? Can they keep doing
Yeah,
this?
of course. See, you guys are only exposed to what you hear about in the media, but I'll tell you for the last 6 years of trading, there have been stocks that do these massive rises, um, and then they collapse. So, for example, there's a stock called Lake. Okay. And I believe during the Ebola scare, there was some news about, PPE with Lake being used, and that stock went from 2 to like, $26. And those kinds of stocks are good shorting opportunities because it's totally based on hype, you know. The advantage of GameStop, or I'm sorry, GameStop, GameStop is the fact that it was a liquid company. You could have bought like put options on it, and it wasn't like a high flying penny stock in the sense like it took a year for it to go from $4 to $400. But most of its massive expansion happened in less than 2 weeks, right? And yes, there were a lot of people that were like, hold the line or diamond hands. And I even wrote about that on Twitter, telling people, like, this is no way to trade. This is not stick it to the man. Like, this is a good shorting opportunity. And, a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money more than the people that are going to make money. And it's just because of the ignorance that is surrounded, in trading by people. And I mean, that stock cratered from 300 to 60 in less than 3 days.
So the play would have been whenever they're buying a bunch of GameStop stuff, you buy it and then Elon Musk tweets, and then in hindsight you would sell at that point when the
Yeah,
high was at its
after the
apex.
next. Yeah, and after basically, I would have sold if I were along that. I would have gotten out when the catalyst was over, which was all of these hedge funds had gotten out of their positions. They publicly made it known they have to that they were squeezed or squozed out of their positions
What is squozed?
and squozed.
Squozed?
Yeah, past tense of squeeze.
It sounds like some kind of bird language.
Yeah. Anyways, so um and they literally told you like, yeah, we're all out, but they probably ended up reshorting it anyways. Like, why not, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take the loss, but after they got out, see, they were the fuel that made the stock go to 400. It wasn't Wall Street Bets. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that was like the misconception about it all. And I got a lot of hate on Twitter for what I was saying because it was ahead of their time. And the only reason it was ahead of their time is because I've seen this all before. I've done all of my homework. I've researched history. I, this is nothing new under the sun. And, we would call this like a high flying penny stock, which creates good shorting opportunities. The nice part about that particular kind of strategy is you don't really have to hunt for stocks. You're just looking for stocks that are up hundreds of percent.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do your research on it. If it's a penny stock and it's a shit company, well, that's a good shorting opportunity. And then the finesse is figuring out, obviously, managing risk of when to short. There are people that literally that's their entire strategy. So And as it goes into the prosecution side of people, Wall Street bets, and people are upset about the SEC saying what they said, but it is stock market manipulation in the sense that the law around stock market manipulation is so vague that they can use it in any way that they want.
Mm.
And a lot of the people from Wall Street bets in that form were claiming that they were the ones that contributed to what happened, which is dumb. Like, why would you admit to that? And it's just because they're a bunch of 20 somethings.
Mm.
So, whether someone's going to go to jail, probably not. But if they do prosecute someone, it would not surprise me, as we've seen this many, many, many times.
Right. So I'm guessing this is something that, like you said, has happened many times before. The difference is the optics and the relatability of it. A lot of people probably here are Reddit users. So if there's a fire on Reddit, you're going to hear about it. I never followed Wall Street Bets before, but it gets suggested to me, and there are memes posted in all the GIF subreddits about it. So it really took the internet by storm. And then GameStop, obviously, gamers can relate to that. So this sort of seems like a way where trading catches the public eye, but you're saying it's really nothing new.
Yeah, exactly. And there, I think the reason people were so ecstatic about it, or it caught fire, is just because of the internet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, never has everyone been so connected so quickly, where within 2 weeks you could drive a stock from 20 to 400. But like I said, to believe that Wall Street bets could even hold the price at 400, which is what all these people were saying, holding the line. A lot of them bought at like 300. They don't have enough capital to do it. The only thing that was fueling that, like I said, were the hedge funds getting out of their short positions. And then once that was over, the music was over.
Mm-hmm.
And, I just feel bad. I tried to warn people, like, if you're trading this and you have no idea what you're doing, please do not trade it. Like, you'll hurt yourself. Like, you're gonna go broke or go bust, you know? And they just wanted to be part of a movement. Trading isn't about being part of a movement, it's about making money. And they just got so wrapped up. And I've never seen that before in real time, right? I'm still relatively young, but it's happened many times, and it's happened in the last 6 years. It's just that most people weren't paying attention to it because it wasn't on a Reddit forum. So, yeah, I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
There was a question in the chat from Relaxation. A number of people have said that the real squeeze hasn't squoze and that it's still going to happen. I want to ask what you think about that.
No, it's dead.
It's dead.
There's no money left to, like, if I'm a hedge fund, right? Well, I'm not short at 17 anymore. I'm short at 400 or 450. So because I don't have to buy to cover, the normal people would have to drive the price up to 450, which they don't have the liquidity to do so. And therefore, it's not going to ever most likely go back there. Unless this is the only possible way it's going to go back up there. If Elon Musk takes his entire net fortune and plows it into GameStop, that's the only saving grace people would have.
Mm-hmm.
But the hedge funds covering their positions is what led to that massive spike. It wasn't Wall Street bets. They put the pressure on, and then Elon Musk put the pressure on, and then that short covering of hundreds of millions of dollars, that's what led to that rapid rise. So there are a lot of people that are like, oh, I'm still holding from 300. It's like, why? What do you know do you know anything about trading? No.
I think this is just my perception from reading Reddit comments and stuff. I think that they still perceive that they are somehow punishing the greedy Wall Street people. I think that's the mindset there. And that's not like a tangible, okay, now they're going to owe billions of dollars. That was the talk that was happening earlier. So they're just going to owe so much money that they can't possibly pay it back, and we're going to be rich and they're going to be fucked.
Right, exactly. I mean, there are some people that made millions of dollars. Like, I got an email from someone that said that they had made 5.7 million, buying call options, and their life was forever changed. And they're like, I don't want to trade any of this, you know. But the general story that's going to come out after this is like most people have lost either their entire life savings or a small amount of money because they just wanted to be part of the movement, But I said this on my Twitter on the 27th, which was it's gonna go back to where it was, if not zero. GameStop, unless their company changes fundamentally, right? Um, they're doomed.
Mm-hmm.
Brick and mortar stores cannot compete with a business that is all online and ships stuff from warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, most people my age buy stuff from Amazon. They don't go to stores, unless it's like clothes, and even that's kind of iffy.
Mm-hmm.
But all the money that these hedge funds lost, most likely, if they know what they're doing, they've made it all back.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's like the whole
shebang.
The whole shebang.
Nice.
So, let me see if there is any.
So you're not recommending people to go buy GME?
No. No. I was telling my newsletter people, like, this is a good short. Like, you guys should buy put options, or if you can sell it short. I mean, if you had 1,000 shares short at 300, it's going to cost you about $300,000 plus fees just to short it. So most people don't have that capital. So buying a put option is generally, the upside potential is infinite, downside potential is capped at how much you put in. So that would have been a good play. But really, the coolest part is, for me, about Wall Street bets in the end, is a transfer of wealth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just interesting to watch play out.
It is. It's been pretty hilarious. I would say, in terms of like just general news, this has been more interesting and funny than a lot of the more like political and kind of depressing shit that's been floating around. So I would say, just from a bystander's perspective, it's been a breath of fresh air just to see all the memes play out.
Yeah, and like this whole memeing of stocks, like I didn't even know who Wall Street Bet was until like the beginning of January of this year. Like, and that's only because when I do Twitch live streams of playing games, like someone was like, have you ever heard of Wall Street Bets? And I was like, I mean, I've heard of them, but I've never looked at them. I'm not on, I have a Reddit page, but I don't really do much on Reddit. So, I mean, it's so out of my world, I guess, in that sense.
There's a question from Muller X in chat. What do you think about the trading app Robinhood? Because I think they blocked people buying GME and stuff for a bit, and their reviews and stuff got tanked on app platforms and shit.
Yeah, so since day one, since Robinhood came out, I've told people, please do not use them. And the reason is this, that if something is free, guess who's the product? You are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
is it their data that they're getting?
Well, what these firms do is they sell order flow to people like Citadel.
What is order
And
flow?
so like buy and sell orders. So what a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people don't know is HFT firms pay brokerage houses basically a fee to see orders 1 second before they're placed, or usually 1 millisecond before they're placed. And it allows them to front run people because they're just trading for pennies. And that's what we consider order flow. So Citadel probably came to Robinhood and said, well, we'll pay you X amount of money to see your order flow. Like, what are people trading? And Robinhood probably took that deal. Why not? And even when there were commissions, they were still doing that same thing. So whether it was free, commission based in the stock market, people pay for order flow, especially a lot of these HFT shops, to basically front run orders. Now, when Robinhood stopped trading on that symbol, a lot of people got upset. But the truth is that usually when that happens in the stock market world, and I'll tell you about the futures after, but in the stock market world, that means that they were worried about their own liquidity. And if I'm a brokerage house and people are gambling the way that they were gambling with this stock, there's a high probability that they're all making bad bets and they're all going to blow up, right? And if they all blow up simultaneously and it's not a controlled death drop, then my firm can go under. And so a lot of brokerage houses will stop trading on certain symbols and allow people to exit their positions but not take new positions. And that is for self-preservation. You also have to think about the fact that the infrastructure inside of Robinhood isn't that sophisticated because they're a relatively new broker. And because they're a relatively new broker, they wouldn't be set up to do 1 million transactions a day, let's just say. So let's say that, for the last 2 years, they do 100,000 transactions a day. Let's just say that was the number. But then all of a sudden in one day, 1 million people start trading, right? Well, their infrastructure isn't set up for that. And that's what a lot of these firms end up having problems, because Robinhood wasn't the only one to limit trading. TD Ameritrade also limited trading, and TD Ameritrade has been around forever, and their system is so shit. Again, it's a free platform, but their back end is so shit for taking orders. Like they'll stop trading on some symbols. And it's just sheerly due to the massive amount of people that want to trade and the volume, they can't handle it. And also for self-preservation. The one thing I didn't like is the CEO of Robinhood's came out and was asked point blank on CNBC, do you have a liquidity problem? He said no. Then why did you halt trading? That is the only reason that brokerage houses tend to halt trading on symbols. So just don't use Robinhood. That's all I can say. Like, there are tons of other brokerages out there that are much better, in my opinion. And when something is free, like Facebook, you're the product. So how are they making money? And they're really generally making money off of, selling order flow or creating weird spreads. Now in the futures market, it's all a cash market. So if volatility increases by a lot, all they do is they up the margin requirement, or how much cash you have to have on hand. So if you're holding 5 contracts and each of those contracts is worth $5,000, well, to hold them, you had to put up $25,000. But if volatility goes crazy, they'll just increase the margin, and then you have to put up more money to hold those contracts. So that goes from 5,000 to 10,000. But they will never stop you from trading unless there's like a halt, because the market has moved up too fast or down too fast. There's halt mechanisms as well as in the stock market.
Mm-hmm.
So does that answer your question, Waller X? Don't know if he's still
There
there.
was a question that I think we already kind of covered. Do you think the Wall Street bet stuff will have greater effects? It seems like no. One concept that we discussed in the Trading for Noobs podcast, which you can find in any of the Voice of Neuro podcast links, use the tree command, is people who are professional traders are oftentimes trading using algos, like algorithms that look at the long-term trends and just how stocks move and winning over time. Whereas the Wall Street bet memes are more, it's more of an emotional hype train, which I feel like is easier to play against.
Yes. And like I said, there are many examples of penny stocks like GameStop that have risen astronomically, and they're better shorts than they are longs, because if you're going long something, like, you don't know necessarily if that penny stock is going to go up. But if you're just waiting for a crap company to be bought up on hype, right? Well, you just have to sit back and wait until that happens, and then be like, okay, this is probably a good short, and use risk management, of course, and take a shot of it coming down, because when it collapses pretty quickly. Those are people's entire strategies, and people make millions of dollars doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, most of my friends that are traders, they're penny stock short sellers. That's all they do. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, to believe that this was some kind of rare case is naive and lacks understanding of the history of the market in and of itself.
So GME, the rise and fall, not a rare case, but it did get memed to the moon.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because even my dad called me about it, and lots of my friends talked to me about it, and I just sat back horrified. So
You sat back horrified?
Yeah, because it's like, no, nobody cares until they care, and then they try to do things that are naive,
Yeah, they're not
or
making sustainable winning moves over the long term. It's like a short term group punch that they did that I think they had some misconceptions about serving justice. They were serving justice to
Yeah.
Wall Street greed.
They took it to a divinity level for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Some kind of more morality, high flying divinity level.
Mm-hmm.
And but what I'm saying is like, I found it absolutely shocking how much criticism I got by predicting everything that was going to happen and did happen and unfold, which is why I wrote it on Twitter, so it was all time stamped, like, before the fact.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like being right in the end. I mean, that's just something that tickles me. But and then I had people blowing up my DMs telling me how I was wrong. And it's like, well, how long have you been trading? Oh, just a couple of weeks. It's like, I've been doing this for 15 years. Like, I'm pretty sure I know what I'm talking about.
You're just not believing in Reddit hard enough, dude.
Yeah. I mean, my main concern, though, overall, is because even though I'm kind of an asshole, I honestly do care about people, but my main concern was making sure people understand, like, the risk involved in doing this, and that they will most likely lose all their money.
Yeah, there was a point that we made during Trading for Noobs, which is, if you want to try trading some shit, make sure that that's like fun money, not
Yeah.
rent money. Even if people tell you, like, dude, GME is going to the moon, that's not a good basis for putting your life expenses there. If you got maybe a boost of income for something you didn't expect and you want to invest it, that's your call. But yeah, don't risk house and home for these dank Reddit memes.
Exactly. And I don't know. I feel bad, dude. There's a lot of people that are going to be or are already hurt. And
Could it be? Are you talking about people who say bought into GameStop when it was kind of high, and then it's going to be lower than they bought it?
yeah, a lot of people bought on that day, like the day after uh, Elon Musk tweeted something, which it was trading at like 300 to like 350,
Mm-hmm.
and they're still holding it. I mean, someone in chat, I think it was America Pie, he said he saw a dude on Wall Street Bets who cashed in his life's earnings from trading and bought $1 million of GME at 300. It's currently trading at $63. So, that's what I'm talking about. I
Yeah.
mean, I even had my old boss text me about it. And I was like, my policy on this. Like, you don't know what you're doing. Give your money to someone else who knows what they're doing. Like, don't believe in this hype. Like, I've talked to you about this many, many times,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and, on one level, I'm excited that people got excited about the market, if that makes sense. Cause I think everyone should have some kind of contact or understanding about finance, about trading, and all of that stuff. But at the same time, I know that there's going to be just a wake of people that lost their life savings or they're in debt. They're indebted to their broker, which you can definitely be indebted to your broker. And a lot of people will be hurt. And then you'll only probably hear about the people that made a lot of money, but that's not the true fear of what actually happened.
You said before that trading is gambling, and
Yes.
I would say the same thing about poker. Poker is also gambling, and in both trading and poker, if you study really, really hard and you have some clear edges, you can consistently make it a winning thing. But if you haven't read lots of books and if you haven't built up a bankroll by slowly testing things and iterating upon them and improving, you are just effectively like pulling the slot machine. If you get one of
Yeah,
these dank meme viral threads where they're like, "We're gonna take Blockbuster to the moon now" or whatever, you're gambling. So just be honest about that. If you're not someone who's done a ton of research into things and can substantiate all your different bets with a bunch of really good reasons, yeah, it's gambling, it's fun, maybe you enjoy it. It's cool that trading is getting more visibility from this, but you also need to respect the danger of it. Cuz
exactly.
like that person who basically ruined themselves where you're in a really good spot and you take a massive risk and then get fucked.
Exactly. And so if I could just riff on this whole gambling trading thing just for a second. So trading trading is much more like bridge in a lot of ways,
Mhm.
in the sense that at least in poker and blackjack there's finite probabilities. In trading, you can have an edge, but your experience of that edge is going to be like you're going to experience something around that edge. So if you have something that wins like 60% of the time, well, one year it could be 50%, the next year it could be 70, right? It's not an exact like finite number probability. And then, the other thing is like what you said, which is smart, which is like test ideas, grow a bankroll slowly. Yeah, these are all very, very important things. But for some reason, and I can't figure this out at all, Nero, is that people believe that the market is some kind of mythical dragon that only by trading from your instincts is the way to trade or be.
But
and I can never figure out why they put it on a pedestal in
this
comparison to gambling or
this
like poker.
feeling, this essence that you're talking about of the mythical dragon, this is why you can be a poker pro. It's that kind of line of thinking in particular that allows good players to succeed because bad players believe in a bunch of different superstitious things. An example in a poker term is someone who goes to the casino maybe once a month and they play poker and they've won some pretty big hands and they consider themselves to be a good poker player and they'll tell you a story about some garbage hand that they took to the flop that they shouldn't have taken to the flop, but they took it to the flop nonetheless because they're bad. And a bunch of very rare things happened. And then by the river, they end up beating the best player at the table in a situation they never even should have been in the first place. But then they'll say, "This is my hand." So the next time they get that hand, they'll remember that story. They'll remember that betting line they took, and they'll say, "I believe in this hand,
Mhm.
and I can actually win." And they'll sometimes even brag about it like it was a good decision and that they had some intuition sense that was beyond reason or something like that. And they think it's cool to brag about that. But those people are specifically the ones who are paying off the long term pros. The people who do
Right.
have some rigorous strategy that just says, bad hand, fold it pre flop. I want to get out of that as fast as possible and I want to just save my actual money for the stuff that is good instead of just basing it on instinct and superstition.
Right. Yeah.
Superstition, from I think a biological sense, it's cheaper to think about. If you just have some superstitious reasoning for why something happened, you can usually just make that up on the spot. You say, "I think it happened because of this, therefore I'm going to do this moving forward." That took you all of like 6 seconds to figure that out. But to write an algo or to figure out a poker strat and map out how you're going to fold or bet all your hands and then refine your betting lines, that takes way, way, way more effort. Ain't nobody got time for that. People want to just be lazy and get rich.
Yeah. I don't see. Yeah, I guess maybe it's just my own perspective. So it does actually occur. Like people believe that even in poker. I just feel like I don't know. People just are dumb about it. Like at least with gambling, when they go to Vegas, they're like, "I'm here for fun," so that they're just there to lose money. Um, but I always just felt like people treated the market as some kind of magical dragon that you can never understand or trade or be successful at. And it's like, yes and no. Do you know what I'm saying?
But if I
So,
pray to the magical market dragon 3 times a day, is that going to allow me to be a successful trader?
yeah, exactly. I mean, there are things like even so I have a student. Well, I shouldn't actually, it's not even my student. But there's been people that I've met that literally record themselves like speaking positive things to themselves
Mm-hmm.
about trading. And it's like, from a mental perspective, like, I get it, right? But
Mm-hmm.
to me, trading is binary. So it's like either the trade wins or it loses. And this is because of my strategy, right? The only thing I haven't figured out successfully yet is like when to turn a strategy off. Like I have things in place that will turn the strategy off, but I don't know if that's like the best thing to do. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but people take trading to this divinity level of self reaffirmation quotes. If I do this in a certain order, or maybe Jesus wants me to have money. I've heard that before. Uh, maybe uh, if I rub the doorknob 3 times and then I go to my trading desk, just like all of these ritualistic things, which have nothing to do with trading.
You should get some math to back it up, fam.
Yeah, that's all I could say. Something repeatable, like that should be the backbone. And then if you want to do all that stuff, more power to you.
Mm.
But yeah, and that's how we ended up in we're living in the most technologically advanced day and age, and yet things like Wall Street bets and flat Earth and all that stuff is still very much possible because people want to believe in it, and that's fine. But my main concern is like, you guys are talking about people's life savings. You know,
Mm-hmm.
what it's a moral hazard. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It all played out. I wish I was wrong. It all played out exactly how I thought it was going to play out.
Yeah. So there's
As
not a major upheaval in how the stock market works. It's basically going to be business
Yeah,
as usual. Barrett is asking, did any of the wealthy hedge fund people get hurt financially by this?
yeah. Some people, um, like I think Melvin Capital lost like 50% of their money,
Oof.
which is bad. I mean, there's a saying amongst hedge funds that if you're down 50%, you might as well be down 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't know, like, I don't know what ended up happening to them. I mean, a lot of times these hedge funds will take out loans, like they'll call, I don't know, Morgan Stanley, or I'm sorry, not Morgan Stanley. They'll call, Wells Fargo, or they'll call Goldman Sachs and say, "Hey, can I have a credit line? Because if I can't put up the margin for this trade, then I have to get out of my entire position." You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's, the other part of all of this happening is it made people stop for a second and realize just how messed up, like, Wall Street in general is about the big players. But the big players have always been there. It's the people I trade against. It's the people, like, it's always been. I'm not saying that's right. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But it is frustrating. Like, why does Citadel get special access to order flow information? Why is that a thing? Why does that exist even? You know? Why is the market built for speed and not for people who are just trying to normally trade? Um a great book, if you guys are interested in all this stuff, it's 20 hours long to listen to, but it's called Dark Pools, or Flash Boys. Those two books will tell you everything that has been going on the dirty inside of Wall Street forever. However, from a regular retail trader, which I am, like, does that affect my life? No. But knowing that a hedge fund can get hit for 50% and then being able to call in a loan, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if that happened to me, or if I went, or even if these hedge funds go bust, okay, if that happened to me, nobody's fucking coming to save me. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm homeless at that point. And I think that point is good for everyone to wake up to. Will anything probably be done about it? Probably not. But yeah, I mean, it's dirty. But that doesn't mean you can't trade and make money out of the market as an individual. I'm just saying, like, I think that's what upset people the most is like, wow, this person just lost all the capital that they were entrusted with, and yet they're getting a bailout, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is what rubbed people the wrong way. But I mean, look at the 2008, 2009 financial crisis. How many people went to jail?
Not very many.
One person.
One person.
One person. And that guy didn't even do shit.
They were just like, someone needs to go to jail. Hey, you're going to jail. Wait, what?
Pretty much.
Someone needs to answer for this. I didn't even
Yeah.
do anything.
I was home eating things, like, yeah, so he went to jail, and like, you guys, everyone should know, Bernie Madoff, right? I hope everyone in chat knows who Bernie Madoff is. I mean, he was the head of the Nasdaq. Okay? These people are like these regulators, they're asleep. And only when things get ruffled are they like, "Oh shit, maybe we should do something." It's like how does a how do you rent a house to someone on a ninja loan, dude? Or buy a house on a ninja loan? No income, no credit verification. Who's regulating this? You know what I'm saying? Like it's insane. And so if you think Wall Street is corrupt now, like understand that it's always been that way. It's not new. It's just like this put a spotlight on it and nothing's going to be done unless everyone rises up and is like, we're not going to take this shit anymore and take no prisoners. That's the only way anything's going to get done.
Some people are asking where they can find out more about you. I linked Triforce's stuff in the chat. He has lots of resources, many of which are free, just learning materials that he has out. You have your own podcast, Instagram, Twitch, website, Twitter. He's got lots of hot takes. It's really funny seeing the conversation between all the different supposed trading gurus who are trying to push their random stuff that's wisdom in quotation marks.
Yeah. Listen, if you see someone in a Lambo, okay?
Dogecoin.
just don't listen to them.
Okay.
Are
you saying Ty Lopez is not going to lead me to wealth?
No, he's not.
Damn.
Honestly, Nero, you could do Ty Lopez's job. It's just reading a bunch of books and then re-quoting what those books say.
Mm-hmm.
That's all his course is. That's all he ever does.
Knowledge.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, for a long time, it was obviously like lifestyle marketing stuff, which is crazy. So if Triforce has a lot of free resources, does that make me his product if I use them? Yes. See what you did there. I don't know anything about Dogecoin. Again, this is something that's being pushed by Elon Musk. So what's interesting about Elon Musk in general is his lack of understanding in finance in general, and the fact that he's already been charged by the SEC at least once for pumping a stock. I think it was his own stock. Yeah, his own stock. And then he gets involved in the Wall Street bets thing and kind of pumps that. And now he's doing it with Dogecoin. So it's kind of, he's like a public pump and dumper.
He's a bit of a memester.
Yeah. It's really interesting because he has a lot to lose. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, he has a lot of money to lose. And I just find it fascinating that he's already been charged once. And now he's still doing it. So what if Elon Musk gets locked up? What will people do? You know?
They'll probably make a bunch of dank memes. That's what we do. We the people, in order to entertain ourselves, will meme the shit out of the news. And if Elon Musk went to jail for pulling some shit in trading, that would be a bummer for him, but oh man, people would amuse themselves, I'm sure.
I know, it's like, dude, I can't even remember how much he was fined for. Hold on, let me look this up. It was like an absurd. Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't that big of a deal, I guess. It was only $20 million.
Just a wrist slap of 20 mil.
I know, but the thing is like that tends to compound over time for each little infraction. What was Elon Musk charged for? he he again was going against the short sellers of his stock. And so what, if I can remember, this was a while ago. This was like in 2018. What ended up happening was is he didn't like these people talking about shorting his stock. He doesn't believe that people should be allowed to short sell stock. And he said that a deal was going to go through that would basically squeeze the short sellers out. And then he had funding secured. So if you ever see funding secured meme, it's from that time. And it was a bold-faced lie. And so the stock spiked. And then they were like, and then it came to find out that nothing was secured at all for funding of whatever he was talking about. And so they slapped him with a $20 million fine. But he also went publicly on Twitter and talked about GameStop. And it was because, like I told before, Melvin Capital was one of the short sellers of his stock. He wasn't too fond of that. So what he did is he said, hey, he corralled his people to buy GameStop stock. And that's what like really crushed it above 100. And then all of them got out, which made it go even higher. And I'm just saying, like, there's already a target on his back. And he did it for Dogecoin, and he's done it for GameStop now. Mm-hmm. I just find it's like, Elon, what are you doing, dude?
He seems like a fairly risk-seeking person. So in that sense, it's not really surprising. He's wanting to build new shit and innovate and that kind of thing, which also means that he's, I would say, kind of shoot from the hip kind of guy, where he's not trying to be perfectly correct and really cautious with how he talks. He'll just like mouth off and oops, I actually broke a bunch of laws with that.
Yeah. And so because he's doing all of these things, right? And obviously he has people that are smarter than him working on this, but it's just like he's doing all of these things. And it's like, I guess the question I would want to ask him is going to jail and being sued for hundreds of millions of dollars worth the risk of promoting this shit? Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it is, if your vision was taken away from you, would you be okay with that? Because listen, if I'm an oil company, right, and I can find a way to silence Elon Musk and destroy him, why not?
MaulerX makes a good comparison here. Elon Musk is one of those smart people who thinks he's smart, not talking about cars or rockets, kind of like Jordan Peterson, where maybe Elon Musk is a smart man, and he's very, very smart in certain categories. And a lot of times a smart person will fancy themselves smart in all categories, which can never be the case. There's just too much to learn. In any one given field, to be a top level expert, you have to devote your life to that. So there's an innumerable number of fields in the world. And a lot of times they'll think, well, I'm smart with cars and rockets, so I'm going to be smart with stocks too, right?
Exactly. So I think this is why I think IQ tests are irrelevant. You put me in a construction site, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. Like, I'm the dumbest person there. So I think intelligence is always relative to the task. But I'm saying I just can't understand the logic of someone putting that big of a target on your back when you're doing also great work in other areas. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just, like, what's the point? Mm-hmm. You know? Because people already hate you. Like, there's a whole industry of people that want to dethrone you. Mm-hmm. And you're just giving them a reason to do it. And I really hope nothing happens to him, because he's the only person that I know of in the US that, actually takes renewable energy and autonomous cars and things like this seriously.
Mm-hmm.
You everyone else is just kind of playing catch up. But yeah, I don't know. Do you guys have any more questions about GameStop? I don't know if this was fruitful or not. I don't know how many of you knew what happened, but
I think this was awesome. It definitely made it more clear to me because I think a lot of people have watched a lot of this and they feel like we have just like broken the dark tower of these evil traders and their greed is about to be punished and all this kind of stuff. So it was very fanciful and magical thinking and stuff. So getting a just like from the ground floor, someone who actually trades to see what was going on and whether it was a complete upheaval of the world and system as we know it, or if it was a very dank meme that we enjoyed but is a lesson to learn from for people who maybe weren't familiar with this kind of event but now have an example case of something that will happen again in the future but has also happened in the past. This wasn't like a first time ever, oh my god, people were trying to short and then people bought and they got fucked. Like
yeah.
people have been taking risks in the market. Like you have to, that's what it is. You're risking your money by placing bets that certain things will fail or succeed, and then either you get rewarded or punished for those bets.
Yeah, I just think with the I don't know. I just think with how everyone reacted was just very strange. I just and it's mainly due to ignorance, and I get that, but I just didn't expect people to take it to some kind of divinity level, I guess. I don't know. It's just strange to me to watch.
I think it was relatability was the factor, is that it felt like a certain group that people could identify as a part of got to make some kind of impact. And they did make something happen. It wasn't necessarily something that was a net long-term positive, but it definitely shook the tree in a way.
Yes. Yeah,
So,
of course. I wish it did change, but I just, you know,
which I think
Citadel
it
is just
demonstrates that
insane.
the common person can trade, like you can get involved in this process, but like you were saying with some of the unfair advantages, it's not a totally fair market.
Yeah.
So you're fighting uphill, which means that if you're going to get involved with trading in some capacity, you should do your studies, treat it like a student, and also just be honest with yourself that if you're curious about trading stocks, you are a bronze player. You're actually starting out as the worst bronze player. And just,
You're in Wood League, my son.
yeah, you should start by getting the very basic sense of what the words mean. I got slapped in the face with that when I was trying to learn poker, where I just put some money in an online account and I was playing just for pennies, so it wasn't really risking much. But I got destroyed, and I was questioning myself because like I had crushed other games, I did really well in school and stuff in university, so I fancied myself a sharp cookie who could kick some ass. But I was getting my ass kicked. I go to the forums, I don't know what the words mean. With this trading lingo, I don't know what a lot of those words mean. So I would assume that I am similarly noob with trading as I was with poker, and everyone else should as well. Just because you maybe got some GameStop stuff at a good time and then sold it at a good time, that doesn't qualify you as an expert, unfortunately.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, I just was more amazed about how I was dumb as well. Like I was being treated like I was dumb.
Mm.
Like I'm like, oh, it was just okay. I was just trying to make sure you guys don't hurt yourself.
You
My
just don't
God.
believe in the diamond hands enough, dude.
Yo.
Well, appreciate you coming on, dude.
Yeah, it's not a
I've got
problem.
to go catch a boat. Thank you, chat, as well, for providing some questions for us. Are you good with this going on YouTube?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Wicked. Well,
So,
cool.
well, thanks for having me. Thanks for the questions, guys and girls. And
I'll drop another set of links for Triforcetrader stuff. So if you have more questions, he streams on Twitch sometimes, and then has his own Discord as well on his website. Appreciate you supporting the stream here, with your amazing gifted subs and all that. But also, this conversation is really fun. I'm glad that we've gotten the ball rolling with actually collaborating. So thanks for
Me
that.
too, dude. Not a problem. Thanks, Neo.
Well, have a great rest of your day.
You
Appreciate you,
too.
fam.
Peace.
Nice.